Carlin and for the past 9 years, I've been working with Indigenous youth and communities across Canada. In schools, community halls, and remote areas with one clear goal, to help improve lives and create a better future. This podcast is about real stories about resilience and what it takes to overcome adversity and achieve success. Through my work with educators, leaders, and athletes, I've seen what works, what doesn't, and what needs to change. That's what we'll be talking about here. Each episode, we'll be sitting down with people who have taken different paths to success, who face real challenges, and who have something meaningful to pass on to others. This isn't about hype. It's about truth, impact, and believing in what's possible. Welcome to the See and Believe podcast. Good day. Welcome back to episode 2 of the See and Believe podcast. Today, I'm happy to have our guest, my good friend and relative, Milton Tootoosis. Milton is the current owner of MGT Consulting. He's also the founder of the Saskatchewan Indigenous Economic Development Network. He's the founder of the Saskatoon Cree Speaker Society, and he's also the Saskatoon Regional Economic Development Authority's first Chief Economic Reconciliation Officer. That's a lot. But first off, I want to thank you for your support with me throughout my journey. It's been we've obviously known each other a long time, and you've always been there for me, and I really appreciate that.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of your podcast here, Carlin, because I know your story, and it's something that a lot of people out there need to hear, and many other stories, of course.
Yeah, we'll get into all of that here. So, I guess first of all, I mean, I know we've had lots of car rides and talks and everything, but being raised on Poundmaker First Nation, what was life like growing up there? Tell us about that.
Life on the res. I was there in the 60s, early 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
I grew up speaking the language, going to ceremonies, just being around family, extended family. I just thought everybody lived like we did. Little did I know, once I started journeying off the res, that we were actually quite poor by according to mainstream cultural standards. We didn't have running water.
Yeah.
I remember going home as a kid in the early stages. I do remember glimpses, how you remember bits and pieces of your childhood.
Yeah.
I remember going home to a log house with the dirt floor.
Wow.
Yeah. Firewood for heat.
So in the wintertime, do you remember that had to be cold?
I don't even remember. We don't even remember being cold. If people often ask us, like, was it cold? I guess so. I don't know.
Had to.
Yeah. But just growing up within the culture, the Nehio or Cree culture, just took it for granted that I thought everybody lived like we did. But it wasn't until the early 70s when I started journeying off the res that I realized life was really quite different off the reserve.
So just question, say in a month when you were like 12 years old, how often would you leave the res to go to town?
Probably every second Saturday. We'd only go into town. First of all, I was basically forced to go to school off reserve, not to go to the on reserve school. I'm not an Indian residential school survivor.
Yeah.
So my parents believed, I think, in cultural integration, not assimilation, but integration early in my life. But going into town was like an experience, and once we got a taste of life off the res on a Saturday, it was no turning back. It's like, wow! But I didn't realize, Carlin, that I am the first generation to have been allowed to leave the reserve without the expressed written consent of the Indian agent.
Yeah.
So my parents broke the pass and permit system. When back in the day, when First Nations people needed permission from the Indian agent to leave the reserve.
Yeah.
Well, I now realize I'm actually the first generation that didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's amazing where we've come from.
Yeah, that is very interesting. And when you say go to town, you mean Cut Knife?
Cut Knife was the big town, or Unity.
Yeah.
If you know the geography in the area, Maidstone, right? Going to Lloydminster and North Battleford was just like
That was a
going to-
big that was a
big
big deal.
big deal. Yeah.
Okay, right on. Thanks for that. So when you were young, did you see many people leaving the reserve for university and professional careers
When I was
at your
young,
age?
when I was younger, no.
Yeah.
I think we were the first wave of pound maker citizens that journeyed off the res and left the Battlefords actually to go to college. The generation before us were actually the students of the first on reserve post secondary education program in the province, delivered through the U of S,
Okay.
in the Indian Teacher Education Program, if I
Right.
recall. They would have been the first gen, but they took their first 2 years on reserve. Then they must have finished their year 3 and 4 here in the city of Saskatoon.
Yeah.
Whereas when I came along, we had to leave. Either it was either Saskatoon, or our choices were very limited, or Regina.
Okay. All right. What pushed you to leave home and move to Regina to attend university?
At the end of the day, I think it was a curiosity to
Okay.
experience life and culture off the reserve.
Yeah.
Secondly, my peers were attending University of Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Many of them were my relatives, and I did not want to be that guy who didn't go to college, whether it was trade school or university. First of all, trade school was not on the radar because I didn't want to work on the tools, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I knew that.
Yeah.
And it intrigued me because my buddies, my relatives from Poundmaker, many of them from Poundmaker and
Yeah.
other local reserves, were going to University of Saskatchewan. So I thought that must be the thing to do. But I think my parents indirectly sent a message to me and my siblings that in order to improve your future livelihood, you must get a post-secondary education. So at the end of the day, there was really no, it was not a difficult decision.
Yeah.
But mind you, I can honestly say today, I really wasn't academically prepared for the challenge of university life. So the first year, couple of years, are really hard on me,
Yeah.
mentally, because we weren't adequately prepared academically. So, but nonetheless, I survived. I made it, and
Yeah.
it's a decision that I don't regret going at all. Probably the best decision I
Yeah. I was
made
going to say it
in my early days. Yeah.
was important and one of the biggest decisions you made. Was there ever a time when you questioned whether you belong there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I failed a couple of classes for that first year.
Yeah.
I remember getting marks back from a professor. So basically, wrote all over my paper, a very poorly written paper.
Oh yeah.
This is not university material. What are you doing here?
Really?
Absolutely, all in red ink.
Wow.
And I was a poor writer. I'm one of those guys. I can probably that I could say I had a grade 12 diploma,
Yeah.
but probably a grade 10 education.
Yeah.
My writing skills were poor. My math skills were weak.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be there. So I didn't want to be one of those dropout statistics
Yeah.
from college days.
Well.
Right? So I hung in there, got some tutors, and got through that very challenging time. But yeah, there's times where I often wondered, especially that first year,
Yeah.
do I really belong here academically?
Right.
And certainly had some doubts, but also knew the alternative. If I quit, there'd be nothing really to go home to. 'Cause
Yeah.
There was no work, no jobs.
That's
at,
right.
At the reserve.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And yeah, I mean, it's finish this or bust, right?
Yeah,
So I mean, you kind of
absolutely.
had no choice. So that's good. So from there, you ended up eventually with 6+ years at SAS Power in Regina. I remember those days actually. So what did that experience teach you?
Well, first and foremost, it made me realize that SAS Power, being a crown corporation,
Yeah.
had a robust, I think, diversity or equity policy. I knew and learned very quickly that they were truly open to having conversations around the topic of Indigenous inclusion,
Yeah.
not just in the labor market, but with procurement as well, supplier development. So I'm glad to say I think I was there at a time when Indigenous policy vis-a-vis employment, education, training, and procurement wasn't really high on the radar.
Yeah.
I think I helped nurture it during that 6.5 years I was there
Yeah.
by doing a lot of one-on-one educational opportunities with leadership,
Yeah.
including the union.
Yeah.
I remember those days when it was not very common for a guy from headquarters to drop in at the IBEW big union office. Surprised them like hell. They were just totally surprised that I actually dropped in on them.
Yeah.
And so building relationships with senior managers, executives within the corporation was a learning experience. And because I'll be frank, I was told SAS Power was very anti-Indian or racist.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's probably some there, absolutely. But I also met some good people. I think many of those individuals who were middle, lower management.
Yeah.
After I left a decade later, I noticed many of them had moved up and were senior managers, senior leaders. In fact, some of them were became the CEOs and vice presidents of the corporation. So
Yeah.
I think I influenced them. I think I could say confidently that I influenced them in a positive way. And so when they took over the leadership role
Yeah.
at the upper tier management levels of SAS Power, that they were, I think, somewhat educated.
Like a Howard Matthews.
Howard Matthews
Yeah.
would be one of them.
Oh, he's
absolutely.
totally. I mean, he's totally engaged. But that was definitely a time when Indigenous engagement was just starting.
It was just
For
starting.
sure.
It was just starting for
Yeah.
sure. So,
And I
yeah.
mean, it's been an ongoing issue and process for those companies, and some of them have done well, and some of them haven't. But so eventually that came to an end.
Mhm.
So you had to make a career change.
Mhm.
Looking back now, how do you view that moment?
I think getting
I remember it.
getting terminated, being told that your services are no longer required, and
Yeah.
after talking to my lawyer, legal counsel, saying you've got a case here, you could sue them for wrongful dismissal.
Yeah.
I opted for the other option. That's just to leave.
Take
And
the
I
high
said,
road.
Yeah, take the high road. If that's how some people think of guys like me, then they don't deserve my time
Yeah.
and effort. So I moved on and moved back to Saskatoon, where my wife and kids were. And that is probably the best move I made. So no regrets. Some days I thought, had I not rocked the boat, so to speak, and
Yeah.
challenged some of the leaders there, maybe I'd still be there. But probably wouldn't be very happy at that time. So things have turned around since. So
Yeah.
just because of new leaders at the helm at SAS Power, I think they've made some very positive steps in terms of Indigenous inclusion on many fronts. But at the time, no. If there's the audience and listeners there have never been terminated or fired from a job, you should experience it once, because you develop a thick skin.
Well, yeah.
You have to develop a thick skin, and you also realize that these people aren't your friends; they're just associates.
Yeah.
They're just colleagues. That's all they are.
Yeah.
And don't get too cozy and chummy with people within the corporation. And let's also realize that there's politics in white man corporate culture as well.
Yeah.
It's not just in the Indigenous culture.
Yeah.
We often hear and say, the Reds is so political.
Yeah.
True, but so are mainstream organizations. I learned that very quickly.
You know what? And you described it, but change is always, to me, is most of the time it's good. Where one door closes, another opens, and I'm laughing a little bit because when you talk about getting fired, I got fired lots, and I'll never forget the time. I had a really good job, being an Indigenous relations person for a company, like all the perks and whatnot. And we were on the way home from Regina, me and Brian, and they let me go on the way home. And I just said, "Oh, okay, no problem, thanks, yeah." And he looks at me and he's like, "You're not upset one bit about that?" I said, "No." I said, "I got lots of stuff I can do," and wasn't worried one bit. So, but yeah, it's. I guess, I had been through it so many times, and I knew that I had opportunities. But some people are so scared of it.
Most people are.
Yeah, like yeah,
Yeah. If you're an individual and you don't want to challenge the status quo, you don't really want to change the culture of that organization,
yeah,
you'll just do the bare minimum, shut up, and be hopefully you probably satisfied with the outputs.
yeah,
But if you're like me or like the way you are, like you want change and you're not going to settle for,
yeah,
right? So yeah, I think anyone who wants to be a true leader
yeah.
should experience it at least once in their career.
Yeah, I experienced it probably too many times, but so it taught you a lot then,
Oh
that
yeah,
experience.
it taught me there's no such thing as job security
Yeah,
for sure, and that there's politics in white man corporations as well.
yeah,
I was out of scope, so I didn't have the protection of a union.
yeah,
But at the same time, I think going through that experience, actually, it happened to me twice in a Native organization and
yeah.
SAS Power. So, yeah, to this very day, I consider my colleagues, professional colleagues, just that colleagues.
Yeah.
They're not my friends.
Okay, good, good. I hear you, and that's true. So moving on, you eventually, you know, your dad was a big part of Poundmaker First Nation politics and leadership, and he did some good things. And I met your dad, and I know he's obviously a big part of your life, and we'll talk about that a little more. But eventually, you ended up with Poundmaker leadership on council.
Yeah.
Just don't want to talk about that a whole lot, but what did that teach you?
Well, in 2016, I let my name stand at nominations. And
Yeah.
I was one of these guys who was barking at band meetings, demanding for more accountability, transparency, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I got challenged and said, "Hey, why don't you put your name on the ballot?" So I did. Lo and behold, I got elected. I haven't lived there since I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
But I did go home on a regular basis.
You were an outsider like me then.
Yeah, absolutely. I was an outie. But when I did get elected and tried to make some positive moves and developments around policy, legislation for the nation,
Yeah.
etc., it was challenging because I think guys like us have a different worldview,
Yeah.
different experience, different expectations, and how we did business is really quite different than what I was used to. Working off the reserve, working for SAS Power, Indian Affairs briefly,
Yeah.
and different organizations during that time. Thank God, it's been 40 years now, Carlin, since I've been working off the reserve for myself. But again, the way business was conducted there was really quite different. So I had to get adjusted in
Yeah.
to that. The way they managed time was quite different. But at the end of the day, the few things I was able to get done in that 4 years,
Yeah.
I think was rewarding.
Yeah.
So I was able to give back some of my time and my experience and my expertise. So I would encourage anybody who is they're criticizing their chief and council to give it a shot and come back and report back on what you've learned after your term on council.
Yeah. Well, I know you enjoyed it, and you like trying to improve. You've always been trying to improve conditions on Poundmaker or any First Nation. So just another good chapter in the book,
Oh, yeah,
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could certainly
So,
write a long chapter about it,
yeah.
actually, someday. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Indigenous hockey tournament, you had named it after your dad initially, then on to Jim Nielsen, who you became friends with. I'm good friends with his son, David. Why was that important to you? I mean, you did it a long time, and you're very passionate about it, and you did a good job at it.
Yeah. Well, as a backgrounder, I was one of my first jobs, real jobs out of college, was that of a sports and rec director.
Yeah.
For the Saskatchewan Indian Federated College at the University of Regina, and that's when I got the bug to I really enjoyed organizing and getting people together
Yeah.
and seeing the fruits of your labor. And I got into hockey. I organized so many different sports events, dinners, fundraisers, and so on. And just finished the Lawrence Weenie Cup, my late father's tournament. Almost a 20-year run. COVID hit. We had to shut down.
Yeah.
Then our collective friend, late Jim, passes away. And I asked David and the family, when I got to know his story, 17 years as a professional, over 1,000 games in National Hockey League, being invited to Team Canada in 1972,
Yeah.
and being selected All-Star, et cetera, et cetera. I thought, my God, why don't more people know about this guy?
Yeah.
We've all heard of the late Freddie Sasakamoose. We
Yeah.
heard of George Armstrong, Reggie Leach, Trottier, and so on.
Yeah.
But I was doing a little surveys, and then a lot of people said, Jim who? Jim who? Nielsen. Nielsen, where's he from? And so that's when I realized we got to do something for the late Jim. So I committed to 4 years. That's part of the culture, to do 4 memorials. So we just completed it. And I like to say now that Jim was almost forgotten. And now, 4 years later, we just completed this past year in April 2025. Now, I could safely say there's thousands of Indigenous peoples from Western Canada who know about the late Jim Nielsen.
You single-handedly helped make that happen.
Yeah, well,
You really did, like, because I didn't know much about it. I mean, I'm obviously a First Nations hockey player, and I barely knew, like, you know, when David and I went to the Moose Camp one year, he took me to meet him, and I was like, I really didn't know much about him until you started promoting him, and then when this guy was an unbelievable career.
Unreal.
Yeah,
Unreal.
like, so, good job on that.
Yeah, thank you. It is something that I committed to do 4 memorials. We did it. We got her done. But my family and my little committee is burnt out because we did Lawrence Weenie Cups LWCs for 20 years.
Yeah.
Then that's a 24-year run, and so we decided that's enough.
Yeah.
We've made our commitments, and a lot of individuals had a great time at the LWC and the JNI.
Yeah. So you've obviously worked closely with communities for years. From what you see today, what condition are many First Nations youth actually in right now?
I would say number one issue is poverty.
Yeah.
Has been for decades now.
Mm-hmm.
And the symptoms of poverty.
Yeah.
All the negative statistics we read about almost on a weekly and maybe sometimes daily basis is poverty related. The drug addictions, the abusive relationships, the homicides. We've had relatives recently involved in homicides. So again, just poverty. And I would say if we talk to professionals like Dr. Holly Graham, we are seeing firsthand the impacts of intergenerational trauma.
Big time.
Residential schools, 60 scoop foster home kids.
Yeah.
Way up in Asak, I think is the word in Cree for kids who were fostered out, etc. And oftentimes they grow up very angry at the system, at the world. And we're starting to see them play that out.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's, I talk about this a lot, and I have no problem talking about it, is that in Saskatchewan, society has become almost numb to the issues going on in First Nations communities, because it's every 2 weeks, and I gets my attention. Yep. There's always a major incident. I mean, there was the Kerry Kettle, there was the Big Island Lake one recently. It's every 2 weeks there's a murder, a shooting, a huge drug bust, you name it, and it just happens so often that it just kind of flies under the radar in Saskatchewan, I think.
Yeah, I think people are just tired. There is a word that escapes me at the moment, but I think people are just so bombarded with the negative news globally, let alone the issues around the world. If you turn on the news, we become immune to protect ourselves, I think, from negative media and negative stories, right? So I think it's something similar is happening here. On top of that, I think so some society members, mainstream society members, are blaming the victims, saying it's your fault. You brought this on to yourself. Yeah, maybe some cases they have, but what they don't typically understand, because I do a lot of educational workshops, is once they understand why there's poverty and then all the trauma and the behaviors that we're seeing played out, they start to understand that, oh my goodness, the system created this.
Yeah.
Right. So I think once they start understanding the broader picture and what caused all this, they tend to understand, and they become more, if not sympathetic, at least empathetic.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's interesting that with the residential schools, it had flown under the radar for so long. Like I remember, it pops up on my Facebook memories from I was sharing articles about, this horrendous dark time in Canada's history
Mm.
10, 12 years ago.
Mm.
Nobody paid attention to it. Nobody cared. It just totally flew under the radar. And then when the Kamloops thing happened, well, then that obviously kind of blew the door open on it. And the intergenerational trauma is 100% real. It's still happening. I think I've seen some statistics on how long it's going to go on.
Mm.
Like we're just in the thick of it right now
We're
still.
in the early stages of it.
Yeah.
It's going to. It's surprisingly, some of the researchers are saying this is going to be ongoing for all. It's not going to solve
Oh,
itself
big time.
overnight, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I myself didn't learn about it till the early '80s. I had family relatives who attended those schools,
Yeah.
but never said a thing about them. When I tried to ask my own parents about their experience at the St. Henry Residential School at present-day Delma, Saskatchewan,
Yeah.
they said, "Don't go there."
Yeah.
Right? And I used to wonder, don't go there. But we're reading all this stuff in university about what happened there.
Yeah.
And then they would say, "Don't go there, my son."
Yeah.
Now I know why.
Yeah.
Now I know why. They didn't want us to know what happened.
Yeah. Exactly. So, what do you think is some of the biggest problems holding back the root causes of? You've talked about it somewhat, but just a little more, holding Indigenous youth back right now.
I think it's fear of the rejection.
Yeah.
I've taken some sales training, so I know what that's like. And I use that sales training after university to
Yeah.
help me overcome some of my own personal fears of
Yeah.
rejection, visibly First Nation, thinking that every non-Indigenous person out there is against us or working against us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that way of thinking at one time when I was younger, but I think that's still happening with many of our younger people today. I was fortunate to be raised by parents who were first of all residential school survivors,
Yeah.
ex-military, Canadian Armed Forces veteran, seen the world, traveled the country. Had a They were the first to break free from the pass and permit system, particularly the pass system. So they were very supportive and encouraging and inspiring to me. And I used they didn't tell me directly,
Yeah.
but just by their actions and their suggestions, subtle suggestions that go, it's okay. You're going to do okay.
Yeah.
It's a free world.
Yeah.
You're not stuck here on the reserve. Seeing my parents and even my grandparents, I remember seeing Adam Nimoshom, grandfather Adam Tootoosis,
Yeah.
mingling and socializing with non-native farmers and ranchers from the neighborhood, so to speak.
Yeah.
As a little boy, I saw him, talking. So with a white man.
Yeah.
And as a little 5, 6, 7-year-old, I was deeply influenced by that, I think.
Yeah.
And thought, hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
You can talk to them. You can actually communicate with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And university experience was also another turning point for me. Just seeing the cultural diversity on campus was like night and day. Coming from the Battlefords and Cutknife, where it is basically white guys and Indians.
Yeah.
But there on campus, it is very culturally diverse, and it got exposed to people from all over the world, and the reception was actually quite positive. So,
And you've actually had some non-Indigenous gentlemen help you quite a bit at different times in your life. You want to just touch briefly on that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the first employers that I had fresh out of high school encouraged me to leave the reserve. He said, I was packing groceries at that local cut knife co-op store.
Yeah.
I remember him pulling me in and saying, "Milton, what are you doing here?" Working for you. I said, no. Long term. You should. He asked me, "Are you a treaty Indian?" He says, "Yeah."
Yeah.
You've got a treaty right to an education, post-secondary.
Yeah.
Well, you should go. You don't want to be packing groceries all your life.
Good for him.
That's
and
all he
what
said
was his
to me.
name?
I forget his name.
Okay.
I don't even remember
All right.
him. And he said, And so I did. And I thought, my dad didn't even tell me that. All my dad told me was, Milton, you better get a goddamn job because you're not living under my roof for nothing. You're going to pay rent. Oh, okay. But then when I get to Regina, some of my professors were non-Indigenous.
Yeah.
They were supportive.
Yeah.
The support group that I developed there, many of them were non-native.
Yeah.
Very supportive.
Yeah.
So I thought, So I kept getting
Some of these white guys aren't that bad
They're not
after
that
all.
bad. There's some good ones out there, actually. And I actually started believing that, hey, they're not so bad after all.
Yeah.
Just like my parents taught me.
Yeah.
Just like my grandfather showed me just by his actions.
Right.
That, there's good people everywhere.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
I encountered racism. Yes, I went through, I met some assholes in my time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I also met some really good people. So,
Yeah,
even
that's
in high
important
school,
that's important for Indigenous people to know that. And
Mm.
my big bro Rick Morasti went through the same thing, where where he was going down a wrong path at one point, and some non-Indigenous men seen something in him, and basically told him the same things that somebody told you, and that happened quite a bit. So that's good for people to know. When you look at programs and people who are making a difference with Indigenous youth, what separates what works from what doesn't in your mind?
Well, I would think eliminating the I'm an Indian, I'm First Nations, I'm Indigenous, therefore I can't mentality is number one.
Yeah.
I think non-Indigenous youth don't have that barrier.
No.
They've got what we call white privilege, and
Yeah.
they don't even know they've got privilege.
Yeah.
But as an individual, when you're brown, non-white, it's constantly on our minds. It always was, and still is today sometimes. But nowadays, because of my training, my mentors, the books I've read, like the audio and cassette tapes back in the day before CDs came out, I used to listen to cassette tapes.
Good for you.
Sales training.
Yeah. My dad had those in his vehicle all the time.
They got into my little head, right?
Yeah.
In my brain to think and believe, as per your slogan, that we're put here as human beings, just like everybody else. We just happen to be a different color, different culture.
Yeah.
We can achieve whatever we wanna get done if we work hard for it. The young and native people today also have to realize that it's never going to be easy unless you're born into wealth. And I don't know very many native guys who are born into wealth except you. But we're all born into poverty.
Yeah.
And then that added the racism, the discrimination. Yes, it's there, but it can be overcome if you keep working hard. And just ignore them, and sometimes just persevering through it. Right? They have to expect and anticipate that it will happen, and they got to be prepared for it. So the sooner those young people, those young Indigenous people are prepared for the ultimate, it's going to happen sooner or later. The more prepared I think they'll be.
Yeah.
And it's mentorship, getting around the right people. Just and also believing in themselves that they can achieve whatever they want to do.
Yeah,
it can be done.
You're right. And with the work that I do in my presentations, a few times I've had some kids. Actually, both times it was young girls, and they asked me, and of course, they got questions, and I got to go right up to them because they're shy. They don't want to talk too much. But I'll never forget this young girl a couple years ago at Piapot. Asked me after seeing the presentation, she said, "Was it hard?" I said, "Yeah, it was very hard." And I always tell them, when I'm talking, life isn't easy. It's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging, and I constantly repeat that to them. So on that note, like you've seen obviously the work that I do, and you've been a huge supporter. It's preventative. How important do you think this type of work is right now for our kids.
I think it's very, very important, and more of this type of work needs to take place in our community because we are the youngest and fastest growing population in Saskatchewan, probably on the prairies. You could see the same in Manitoba per capita. We're young. We are the solution to the labor shortage that's about to happen, already happening in certain parts of the economy.
Yeah.
But we have to get our people trained and educated in those spaces, right? Again, it's just they have to realize there's opportunity like never before,
Yeah.
both as tradespeople, as professionals, and as business owners.
Yeah.
There's so much to do. There's a lot of problems to solve, and there's tremendous. I work in a space called procurement.
Yeah.
And the opportunities to be a supplier of various products and services to help solve a problem or fill the gap is so immense. And the young people need to be made aware that that could be them. They could be the next entrepreneur or problem solver. That's as a result will get rewarded financially if they can fill that gap.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one of the reasons that I started, my new presentation with stories of success, talking about as many examples of, with regards to my story. Not everybody can be a professional athlete, right? But everybody can have a successful life.
Ooh,
And I mean, the opportunities for, I tell the kids, our ancestors paid a dear price for our treaty rights,
absolutely.
and you get a free education.
Yeah.
You got companies like SaskPower, SaskTel, Cameco, Nutrien, you name it. They're just wanting you. Please apply, and especially even for the First Nations girls. They're at the top, right? I mean, it's important that they do see the examples. Like I say, when I'm done my presentation and the response I get, these kids, if somebody like me could come in once a month and just pound it into them that you can do it because their confidence levels are so low, and it seems like a world apart for some of them on some of the communities. They need to see examples of success stories.
That's right. I think in addition, they need to be aware that they can be who they are as Crees, as Nakotas, as Dene,
Yeah.
Métis, especially if they're visibly Indigenous, brown. And if they got braids, or if they've got a heavy accent from Cumberland House, for example, or from Poundmaker, just be who you are.
Yeah.
Be comfortable in your own skin. You can never change that, but it doesn't mean you segregate yourself and your experiences from the broader world and what it has to offer. You can actually survive and actually thrive as an Indigenous person in different cultural contexts, different situations.
Yeah.
In fact, our lens is actually now viewed as something valuable to corporations because they don't see and cannot see from an Indigenous lens when it comes to procurement or labor force development policy, all kinds of policies. They are actually now starting to reach out to us, guys like me and other professionals, to add that Indigenous lens because they don't know, they don't get it, they'll never get it in some cases. So now we can provide that, and it's going to cost them. So we charge them for that service, right?
Yeah,
So,
of course.
yeah. So it's actually unique. It's like when I think of languages, studies have shown that if an individual could speak more than one language, they're further ahead.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In many different ways because you think differently. I can speak the language fairly fluently, but also mastered English, I think, to a certain degree. But I'd love to learn Spanish. I'd love to learn French in the next second half of my life, right? At least the basics, right? So, again, cultural experience, diversity of experiences is an asset that can now be measured, I think.
Absolutely. So couple more things here. When it comes to First Nations communities, how important do you think leadership is to improving outcomes?
Well,
you've seen good and you've seen bad.
Yeah,
we won't mention names.
I'm a student of the Harvard Project, nation building, lessons learned from all that research. why some tribal nations are doing better than
Yeah.
others, and it boils down to good leadership
Yeah.
in the community. It boils down to good policies and legislation created by the leadership. It boils down to a good cultural match, bringing opportunities that are a good cultural fit for the community and
Yeah.
for the culture. It just you'd think when you understand the principles, the Harvard Project principles, it's common sense.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, many of our communities are mired in decades and decades of Indian Act leadership, being told by the government what to do, being told by the government and dictated to by the government. Oftentimes, is a total mismatch with the culture
Yeah.
and the opportunities. So again, yeah, leadership. That's where it starts. Any communities I've studied, I've learned and visited, have had great visionary leadership. Learned to separate business from politics and are truly business ready
Yeah.
and to capitalize on those opportunities in their territory. So, uh, yeah, can't speak enough about the urgency and the need for good quality, effective leadership if we're going to turn the circumstances around from the poverty that we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
job creation,
Excuses.
excuses, and just blaming the government for everything, blaming the white man for everything. That just doesn't hold any water anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe 50 years ago,
Yeah.
but in this day and age, there's so much opportunity, and it's got to be that pathway needs to be led and created by effective leadership. And it doesn't have to be elected, Carlin. They don't have to be elected
Yeah.
leaders. They can be non-elected individuals as well.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you've seen the best of the best
yeah.
when it comes to that. And, they all, I'll never forget the supper we had with Chief Robert Louis. And,
Oh, yeah,
he said,
yeah.
like people say, there's jealousy and with him and Chief Darcy at Whitecap. Oh, well, they're close to the big cities, so that's why they had an advantage. No, I mean, you know, Chief Robert had told me, when he started out as chief, they had a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Darcy.
Yeah.
They made that happen. I mean, it could have went the other way easily. Both of those communities could just be average reserves,
Mm-hmm.
with the wrong leadership.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
it's very important. So if you could speak directly to a 12 to 15-year-old kid right now on the reserve who feels stuck or discouraged, what would you tell them?
I would say stay in school,
Yeah,
read, do your homework
yeah,
before you go play hockey or soccer,
yeah,
because chances are I wouldn't be afraid to tell kids today the chances of you making a living, a good living, or becoming a millionaire playing sports is pretty slim.
yeah,
Yeah. But if you have an education, whether it's university or a trade, journey person,
yeah,
you have that to fall back on. And chances are you're going to be doing that for 40 years.
yeah,
You're not going to be a professional athlete for
yeah,
40 years. If you do, great. But it's going to be, what's an average lifespan of a NHL hockey player? What, 3 to 5 years? Maybe if they're injury free. So I would tell them stay in school, read, read, read.
yeah,
Parents need to get their kids reading right at kindergarten. We've done that with my grandson Silas, for example. Today, he's 9 years old, avid reader,
yeah,
loves reading. His proficiency in English is so amazing,
yeah,
and he's grasping mathematics at that age
yeah,
because he's a good reader,
yeah,
right? So again, read, 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 and not only in English but also in our own language,
yeah,
right? Because that'll create that cultural identity and confidence in who they are as Indigenous people. So, again, I can't say enough about getting a good education.
yeah. Cool. What would you say to parents, leaders on the communities about what they can do to be more preventative with helping their youth with health and opportunity?
I think parents today need to push their kids,
Yeah,
challenge their kids, push them out of the eagle's nest, so to speak,
yeah,
sooner than later. When I take a look at some of my peers, Carlin, from the res from first year to 10 years old. I'm thinking back now. Those of us who were pushed out of the eagle's nest, the comfort of
Like
the
your
res,
dad did to you.
yeah,
Yeah.
and said, get out there.
And you're not welcome back, really.
Yeah, if you do live under our roof, you're gonna have to pay some bills.
Yeah.
Right? He was really firm with that, and I respected the old man enough to do that exactly what he said. But I think it's to get our kids, parents thinking cultural integration is a better model than segregation.
Yeah.
Kids who grew up on the res and just only on the res and only associate on the res, I found have had difficulties outside the res as they became adults, because cultural integration is in.
Absolutely.
You go to Toronto, Vancouver, even Edmonton. We were just there for the Oilers game.
Yeah.
There's people there from all cultures around the globe.
Yeah.
You see turbans there. You see Asian people there just wearing Oilers jerseys, etc., and just cheering on their teams, right? And I think that's the wave of the future. And I think I am so glad my parents encouraged me as a young Cree, young Nahio from Poundmaker to leave the comfort of the reserve, but also to come back. And it's still there.
Yeah.
You know, I love going back to the res because I can speak the language, participate in ceremony, and spend time with relatives. Not much has changed.
Yeah.
In 40 years, and in a sense I'm glad it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
But what's changed for me was and has had a positive impact on me and my children today, my grown children, is the reality that cultural integration can be a good thing.
Yeah. Great points with, what you said right off the bat. Your dad kind of told you that, get out and make some of yourself. You're not really welcome here 100%. And too many, I think, First Nations people don't do that with their kids, where they're always welcome home. And you see a lot of Indigenous hockey players that have quit over the years and welcomed home. Well, they shouldn't have been. They should have been, you stick it out. You stay there. Don't you quit. Because when you're got it in their mindset that they're welcome home, it's an easy out. And then that decision's going to affect that kid for the rest of their lives. Going, I've seen it. And they turn to drugs and alcohol and to deal with the shame of quitting. And they should have been parented to stick it out and tough it out. And it's a life-changing thing. So I'm glad that your dad did that with you.
Absolutely.
We need to do more of that.
I've learned that too, Carlin. Getting to know some old NHLers. I won't name them, but a couple of individuals had the same experience I had. They had nothing. It might have been actually worse, because had they quit on their dream, they had nothing to fall back on. Because they had no family back home. They were adopted out. They had nothing. No connection to the res or to their extended family. Whereas like the ones you mentioned as well, and I know many of them who had the comfort of the res and the family to come home, and mama or daddy said, come home then. It's getting a little rough out there. Yeah, it's okay. Come home. They never did succeed.
It's interesting, for me, I mean, I had obviously a good upbringing and stuff. I never wanted to go back. As soon as I was 18, let's go. I'm going to go play hockey and become a hockey player and spread my wings. And going home was the last thing on my mind, right? So it's interesting when you're raised differently how that all plays out when it comes to that time, right?
What's that other saying I heard in my sales training? Some guys thrive on being a big fish in a little pond. But when they're all of a sudden a little fish in a bigger pond, they get a little homesick, right? So I was the same way. I couldn't wait to leave when I was like 15 years old. That's another story, but probably the best decision I made.
Okay, before we close out here, just tell us a little about your current role. And it's pretty awesome that they put you in there, and you're the ultimate networker and trying to help Indigenous and First Nations people, communities have success. So just briefly touch on that for our viewers.
Yeah, I took on the challenge to work for SREDA, Saskatoon Regional Elective Authority, sreda.com. 4 years ago now, and I've known of this organization for 20 years. I
Yeah.
often wonder, what the hell do they do for the Indigenous peoples in this city?
Yeah.
So now I have the being the critic. It's like my experience in politics at the band level.
Yeah. Yeah.
From being a critic to now, okay, now you got to make change,
Yeah.
or try and influence culture change in this city. It's not easy.
Yeah.
But I'm up to the challenge. I've got a little bit gas left in the tank. I'm
Yeah.
63 years old. I want to work at this at least for a couple
Yeah.
more years. But it's really to try and educate the leaders within the city of Saskatoon. We are not the city, but we're funded by the city.
Yeah.
And to work with the private sector and the public sector in the city to try and convince more CEOs, vice presidents, leaders within the corporate sector to hire more Indigenous peoples, trained and qualified Indigenous peoples. We never say underqualified, and to provide services, contracting, supplier development services,
Yeah.
contracts to qualified Indigenous companies. And the third thing is to continuously educate them about, say, the residential schools, treaties, etc. So those are the three priorities that I work on. Business attraction. We know there's some First Nations in this province who just settled outstanding claims, land claims, annuities, treaty annuities, etc., etc. Cows and plows. We heard about that.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get their attention. Say if a First Nation's just been endowed by $100 million settlement,
Yeah.
consider investing some of that in the city of Saskatoon.
Yeah.
Right? So that's my agenda, and that's what I'm working on. Hopefully, again, laying the foundation. I'm not going to solve it.
Yeah.
But I'm at least going to lay the foundation for that. And so hopefully, when I'm an old guy or I'm not around anymore,
Yeah.
that hiring Indigenous peoples is common practice. Providing contracts for all kinds of services is common practice.
Yeah.
And the racists and the rednecks in this community are actually more respectful of the Indigenous community, and because of the treaty relationship that we have.
Yeah.
So that's my ideal, and I hope to accomplish that. At least lay the foundation, Carlin. I'm not going to pretend to be able to solve it in 2 more years. So I want to retire soon and do things I want to do, like my language project. I have an annual Cree language revitalization conference and digital products that I'm going to be creating as a result of that conference and the feedback that I get from our delegates, right? So again, that's a project I'm going to be doing well into and beyond retirement.
Am I going to be seeing you down in Arizona when I'm down there in my spring visit?
Good.
You should.
Yeah, when is that?
You guys deserve it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's so much to see and do down there besides the weather. So I gotta laugh a little bit. Cows and plows. Remember Chaser? And we were at the gym. He goes, we were at the gym a couple of years ago, and Chaser's like, "Hey, Carlin, I got a question. Don't get offended. What the hell is this cows and plows?" That was funny. Yeah. So, well, thank you, Milton, for being a guest and talking. And these are the conversations that I want to have and why I started this. So I've been doing this work with Indigenous youth for 9 years now. Haven't really said a whole lot other than do my job, but it's time to get out and talk about, get the word out to people that, things aren't good. Are they getting better? Some situations, yes. Some situations, no. You look at the news every 2 weeks, right? And these kids are in a tough spot, and we need to start talking and letting people know that we need to start looking at ways to help these kids.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate your knowledge and talking and telling some stories and insight. And thank you very much. These are the conversations that we want to have on this podcast.
All right. Good enough. Thank you. And kinanaskumten in our language. I thank you very much for having me. And we never say goodbye in our culture.
Yep.
There's a word that I would share with the listeners, and that's "Kihtuamina," until we meet again. Hai.
Cool. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you in a week.